I believe everybody should have a therapist, just in the same way as we have a doctor, we have a dentist, we have a mentor. But therapy is about dipping in and out. It's a safe space often, right? Where you can share, express, disclose anything in a contained but holding space. When we suppress our feelings and emotion, it often comes out because emotion or energy cannot be confined. It's energetic. It's dynamic. It always seeks to just be. And if we suppress the energy, where does the energy go within our body? It manifests in different parts of our body, create discomfort. Energy can be so effective that it causes discomfort and then manifests into symptoms, diseases.
We are making new cells all the time. And if we are keeping that darker, negative, lower frequency vibration energy within us, our cells are replicating with that frequency. If we are releasing that emotion and we come back to a higher vibrational state, we're actually effectively changing our genome and our DNA in an instant, magically, in seconds.
Emotions are a huge part of our human experiences. It's how we interpret, it's how we sense the world, and it's how we express ourselves. Emotions are a huge part of our identity. And if we disown emotion, we disown a huge part of ourselves.
Hey, beautiful soul. Yes, you. You are beautiful, whether you identify as female, male, trans, alien, fairy, witch, daughter, son, mum, dad, sister, brother, grandpa, grandma. You are beautiful, and don't you ever forget to be you to the full. Thank you so much for stopping by and clicking on this episode. It has called you for a reason, and that is because it matches your frequency and your vibration, and there is a message in it for you. Before every episode, I sit in meditation and I ask for those who are meant to benefit from my conversations be guided to it. Now, if you resonate with this episode, please subscribe, like, and comment below. And even better, share this with another being. Now, when we share our information, we can help to bring consciousness to as many beings as possible. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending your time here and working on yourself to find out who you are so that you can help others shine their light just as much as yours. Now let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's Melissa, and welcome back to the Purpose Search podcast, where I discuss all things science, spirituality, and purpose. I hold conversations with people who are incredibly knowledgeable in their field, who are aligned with their purpose, which I hope will spark something inside of you to listen to the call of your heart and intuition. Today's guest is Patch, a psychospiritual counsellor, Reiki Master, and subtle body energy worker who helps people to reconnect with their purpose, meaning, and inner truth. Through one-to-one work, group sessions, and online offerings, her work beautifully bridges spirituality and therapy, grounded in the belief that our bodies often speak before our minds fully understand. She also brings a deeply intuitive, compassionate, and thought-provoking perspective to our conversation today. Welcome, Patch. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for that lovely introduction.
You're so welcome. We always start with a short breath exercise on our podcast, and I would love to invite you all today listening to drop into the body and get present with the conversation as we come to screen, as we're listening through our ears. So today, please do not do this if you are driving, but I do invite you to close your eyes or take a soft gaze in front of you if that feels more comfortable to do so. So we're going to take a deep breath in, and I want you to imagine that we've got this huge bubble of energy protecting us around us. It can be any sort of color you like. There's a translucent bubble of protection around us. As we breathe in, the bubble is going to expand. And as we breathe out, we're going to let out anything that doesn't serve us. We take a deep breath in, imagining that protection around us. And a deep breath out, letting go of anything that doesn't serve us. Take your breath lower into the belly. We'll take a deep breath in, expand that bubble of protection 2 inches more. Hold it And take a deep breath out. Relax the body, relax the mind. Gently coming back to your normal rhythm of breath. And when you're ready, move your fingers and toes and open your eyes, coming back to your screen, ready for the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Welcome, Patch. I'm really excited to dive into your story. It's really exciting to have you here today. You have this really incredible experience of being a psychotherapist, counsellor, and I actually want to dive into that as the first question. I normally ask another question, but I'm going to come back to that because I'm so desperate to ask. What is the difference between saying that you are a therapist or a counsellor or a therapist? What are those definitions? Can you explain that?
For sure. Thank you for this platform, Melissa. I think most practitioner, counselor, therapist, or psychotherapist use those terms interchangeably. For me, the interpretation is that counselor is always concerned with short-term work in general. And when I say short-term work, it's usually between 6 to 12 sessions, but sometimes it can be 6 months. They're still short-term. And the presenting symptoms is usually something like anxiety. It's usually situational as well, something that's happened. And then the client wants, to address it and look at that. That's usually counseling. But saying that, psychotherapy also works it that way. But psychotherapy is often a deeper work. It's dive into the psyche. It's depth psychology is what they call it. And they often go into exploring the past. Saying that counselor also delve into the past, it really depends on the dynamic in the relationship. So that's why it's used so interchangeably. But that's the definition of counseling and psychotherapy. Therapist, I would say, is more loose in the sense that it's any person that's providing holistic, therapeutic, alternative therapy. So I see myself as all three of those because of the experiences and the services I offer, I guess. So, yeah.
And is it true that also to be a psychotherapist, is that correct? Or you wouldn't say counselor, would you?
No, you would say psychotherapist. So the other big difference in training in counseling and psychology is that counseling you only need 250 hours.
You literally answered my question I was about to ask.
And then you qualify.
Yeah.
Psychotherapist, you need 450 hours before you can call yourself a psychotherapist.
Okay, I see. And also the psychotherapy goes into the science of it as well, behind going into the childhood. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. It goes into everything, every aspect of your being, because you are not your symptoms. The clients that comes to us presenting with social anxiety, they are not that symptoms. There's more to that person. So we do need to dive into, okay, initially we might be talking about the social anxiety, but it's probably stemmed from some behavior disorder from childhood. It might stem from adverse childhood experiences, especially over a very long period. So there's almost anything can be attributed to our behavior right now today.
I love that. Okay, so I'm going to dive into the first question I always ask my guests, and I don't like asking, what do you do? It's a very
I can't tell you what I do.
Boxing. It's very boxing and it boxes us all. So I love to reframe it to say what lights you up and sparks joy in you. And that can be anything.
Gosh, it's often the simple stuff. Because I don't like complicating things. I think our psyche, cognitively, we make things complicate for ourselves, do we not? So when I say simple things, I'm talking about being outside, playing, having fun with my bunnies. All my clients know that I have bunnies, and my kitten. You know that. You've seen them around here.
Yeah.
Play. I tend to want to play, whether it's with my husband, with my family, and that's tapping into my inner child. I'm realizing, and I'm quite cheeky, quite mischievous. And I noticed that, when I see my bunnies do that, oh my God, it's so hilarious.
Brings you alive. I love
Yes.
that. That's so beautiful. And what's your star sign and your human design? Would you mind sharing that with everyone?
My star sign is Libra. My human design is a manifester, I think.
Yes,
Right?
which is so cool. I haven't had a manifestor on yet, which is so
Okay.
exciting. So you're a Libra sun, Libra rising, and Sagittarius moon, which is so exciting. We found that out today. And your human design is a manifestor 3-5, so that's a martyr heretic. And I don't
Don't
know
know
if
what that
you
means,
do.
but
I was going to
no.
say, do you know what that means? So the 3 line is all about trial and error. So trying things out, and then that would then redirect you to where your path is and your purpose is.
That actually
And
fits with my personality.
yeah, and then the heretic is you're seen as like the savior. You fix things, and that's very
You know,
interesting.
it's
Well,
funny you should
what you're
say that.
doing.
Thank you. It's funny you should say that. That also fit with another aspect that I've recently learned about myself. So I've just finished reading the 11 Role of Spirituality.
Ah,
And if you don't know it, it's a great book. I've just found out that I'm a way shower.
mm,
I show people,
mhm.
and that makes sense to me. Really identify with that role, which just fits with the
Yeah.
heretics.
100%. And life incarnation cross is something that I believe is a very important part of the human design, which I think a lot of people just miss over it. Yeah, but it's yours is the right angle cross of tension, and your gates are 48, 21, 39, and 38. So so the incarnation cross are the 4 gates which cross over. And it's also linked in the gene keys as well with the core, your life's purpose, your core theme. And forgive me if I'm butchering this, anyone out there, but there's the 4 gates that are the most important ones. And your life path is to introduce tension, gate 39, to stir up emotions and initiate necessary struggles, which is gate 38, challenging the status quo to reveal deeper potential, gate 48, and mastery, gate 21, which is so cool.
You know what you've just described? That's exactly how I work in therapy.
Exactly. It's what you do to bring out
Yes.
people to think about their choices and their lives and work out their patterns, which is I was shocked reading this today. I was just like, wow, this is so
I'm actually really surprised by that.
yeah. And I feel like you're just doing that intuitively, which is so incredible. And I'd love to actually touch up on that and how you came about your spiritual awakening and how that fits into your life. I know that you said to me that you've had many profound experiences during your life, and I'd love to hear some
Yeah.
of them.
Gosh, I'm talking many. So one of the one that's still profound me today, I guess, is when I finished my training as a integrative psychotherapy, a therapist, I was looking, I guess, for another or some more toolbox. Not that I wasn't happy with that qualification, but it feels like there's something more. This model still doesn't quite fit with me as a therapist, so I wanted better or more education to really more tools, I guess. So I was looking. So I did hypnotherapy, I did CBT, I did NLP, I did inner child work, I did the body code, all sorts of things, until I was guided to Psychosynthesis psychology, which is where I did my master in, and it was by chance, and it was a combination of my tutor just dismissing this model in a training, which annoys me, and because it annoys me, it sparked my curiosity. What is this modality? Why is she dismissing it? What's going on? And when I did the research, I was like, I love this. This is the model for me. Sign that up that afternoon. And suddenly, before I knew, I was filling in the application form and I was accepted without knowing, okay, how am I going to fund this? But what happened in that moment was I trust. And I've always had trust, I think. I just never realized it actually consciously. It's always been an unconscious trust. But in that moment, I trust that if I'm meant to do this course, it's going to happen. And 4 years on, that was obviously 2022 when I finished, I qualified. with merit. So I was very pleased. And don't get me wrong, it was not exactly an easy thing to do a master. If anybody out there knows, it's really hard with so many challenges. But ultimately, I was really pleased when all I wanted was a pass. I just wanted to get, but I got a really good grade. So, and English is not my first language, so so proud. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that English isn't your first language, because I thought you were born in the UK and you weren't. It's amazing.
Actually,
Can you
my
explain?
English is not my right.
What is psychosynthesis?
Psychosynthesis is a model that works with the spirit. Soul working is a concept of this modality. It incorporates humanistic, experiential. It fits with me as a practitioner because it's about East meet West in terms of psychology, because this modality looks at Jungian. I love Jungian therapy. It looks at subpersonality, parts work, specifically, and the internal family system of it. It works with the chakras, works with energy, and it works with inner child work, which is a
Amazing.
model that I also wanted more qualification on.
Mhm.
And this model covers it. So yeah,
So
brilliant.
if somebody is listening to this and they've never had therapy before, what would your advice be to them? Do you believe that everyone should have therapy?
I believe everybody should have a therapist, just in the same way as we have a doctor, we have a dentist, we have I don't know, who else we have that? A mentor.
A physiotherapist.
Yeah, yeah. In the
There's a reason
same way.
why there's a therapist on the end, I believe.
Yes.
That's my
But
opinion.
therapy is about dipping in and out.
Mhm.
It's a space, safe space often, right? Where you can share, express, disclose anything in a contain, but holding space. And ultimately, it's also a relationship that you're having, a therapeutic relationship. That's how I see my client when I'm working. I don't see the client that comes to me with social anxiety. I'm just using that as a example. I actually see somebody that comes to me, and we are going to have a therapeutic relationship, and then we're going to see how we can work together.
Mm. And also, you hold a lot of group sessions as well, where you work with highly sensitive and empaths and trauma victims. Would you mind sharing some practices that somebody who maybe has never had therapy before or doesn't know what that means? Could you explain what a highly sensitive person is, an empath, and some practices that we could use in our day-to-day lives to come back to center?
Okay. So as a highly sensitive person myself, and it's something I recently discovered. And when I say recently, I'm talking maybe the last 5 years, literally very new to me. And a highly sensitive person is a person that's also on a spectrum. It's a different category to autism and ADHD, because this spectrum is very wide, like recently discovered. Because any person that has neurological challenges, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, are all on the spectrum. Okay, so it's a very big spectrum. But as a highly sensitive person, it means that we have a very, very deep, appreciative, and creative inner world. We're often overthinker as a result, and we're often really passionate, and we are, because of our sensitivity, everything is affecting us. And I mean everything. I'm talking the weather can affect you. I know it has, because you are sensitive to the atmospheric changes. The last weather, if you guys in the UK, you've noticed the volatility of the dark sky during the day, the dark night during the day, and then the sudden storm, and then minutes later it's sunny. It's very disruptive for my sensitivity. I'm aware. sensitive to sound, depending on whether you're a visual, an auditory, or kinesthetic. If you're an auditory, you're probably really sensitive to sound. But with hypersensitivity, an empath, you're going to notice the sound, the subtlety of somebody speaking. So in a relationship wise, when I'm working with clients, for example, I notice subtle change in the use of the language, in the voice, and the tonality. And again, I think this is a lot of conscious stuff, unconscious stuff for me, which is great because it means I've learned it. It's unconscious. But I also, especially being an emotional empath, I pick up emotion that's in the space before the client's even aware of what they're feeling. And then I bring it into the room because I know it's not my stuff. That's how I work intuitively. And highly sensitive people are really intuitive and really spiritual. What that means on a day-to-day basis? Lisa, we're affected all the time. And that's the stuff that we can see. I haven't even mentioned the spirits and entities that we can't see, right? So I won't scare any of the audience with that, unless you want me to go into that area. So there has to be a lot of protection. You did a beautiful introductions earlier. The bubble of light. Need lots of that. I often also do a little bit of a break. It's called I'm breaking the connection. So when you're in a relationship with clients or with anybody, you are influenced by each other energy. Your energy merges, right? Imagine the bubbles of energy coming together. There's going to be that feel in the middle. That's you're going to feel them and they're going to feel you. You need to break that state. So I tend to break that connection when I finish with each of my clients, and in groups, and even in personal relationship. I do a little bit of a Raku Reiki sign to break the connection, and I visualize this kind of these bubbles then just completely a bit more robust again. But this bubble is not like a wall because it's it's transparent. So, and only then it protects me from anything that's not mine. Yeah. And within that bubble, so this is my meditation in the morning, or my ritual rather. So I would do a meditation. I would ground myself. I would center myself. I would imagine the bubble, and I also have a column of light that so we as individual, I believe, are bridge between heaven and earth. So this column of light is being charged, I suppose, by love and light, which is filling up my bubble. So that is a ritual that I think as an empath we have to do every day.
What if your team's biggest breakthrough came from within? At InnerVox, we create tailored workshops for corporate companies that unlock confidence, communication, and collaboration. We're not your typical training. Our workshops are dynamic, experiential, laughter-filled, and designed to create lasting transformation. We use creative techniques, performance psychology, and real human connection. We help your people build trust and express themselves and perform at their absolute best by listening to their intuition and their inner voice. Because when your people grow, your business also grows. Visit innervox.co.uk/corporate today and click the link in the description below. And there's many strategies that we can do in terms of keeping that energetic bubble. And I liked what you said about, having the break. I sometimes visualize doing an energetic cord cutting.
Yes. Yes.
So having right now we will have a cord between us that's keeping this conversation alive. So we're transferring energy back and forth to each other. But especially as projectors and manifestors, we need a lot of rest and to come back to our own energy, because we don't actually produce our own life force energy. Most of them, some projectors do have that sacral defined, the root defined, I mean. And so I often will imagine that I'm flushing out a lot of the energies that I've come across in the day, with that column of light. It's kind of like a waterfall of light that's washing through me, to just come back to my own center and my own energy. And kind of like what you were saying about not knowing what is not yours and what is yours, that you're holding on to, your emotions. And so then I feel like I'm coming back to my own thoughts and feelings, and not something that's been projected on me by somebody else, or that I maybe have held on to a story. Because I think that's essentially what this all is we're just telling each other stories. That's and you can either believe the fearful ones or the beautiful ones, and lead your life with that in mind. So thank you for explaining some of those practices that you do. I would actually really love to touch on, some of the spirits and entities and things that you have experienced.
To share.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, I'm going to share one incident that happened, and it's most recent, I suppose. I was working with a client, and I won't go into details on who the client is because, we're confidentiality. But I was working with this client who was unaware that he had a presence, ominous, insidious presence within his energetic field that was draining his energy. And presentation-wise, in the session, he was a classic depressive client, somewhat suicidal, and extremely non-engaging in a session, if that makes sense. So, and again, it was probably me, because one session I found myself in the therapy in that moment, wasn't unaware or wasn't protected enough. I don't know, that particular session. After we finished, I found myself over the course of the week following the session energetically drained. I was fatigued. I was depressive. I was really in a low mood. I don't know what's going on, because there was nothing going on around me that's just that. And when I went to see my Reiki practitioner, who is also, I'm working with her to develop my psychic abilities. When she scanned me, she says, there's something in here that's not supposed to be yours. And this is not necessarily an entity that's curious, or, because there's entities out there, and talking spirits, entities, things that we can't see, they're earthbound souls that are just curious and will be attracted to us as empath, because we are light in the darkness. So if you're an empath out there, you have a gift. We shine as an individual. But this present was ominous, so it was draining my energy. I found my battery so low that I can't even connect to my spirit guides. It was that bad. I could not ask for help. And in my dreams, it was really disturbing. It was just dark stuff, almost nightmarish. So after working with her, she discovered this entity in me, and she's also a channeler, is what she called herself. She managed to, with her guide and my guide, to exorcise this spirits from my energy. I can't tell you the difference as soon as that was lifted during that session. It was instant. I mean, it took a little while for her to exercise this thing out, but it was instant. I felt my guides next to me again. And usually, I don't know if you ever experience a connecting to your spirit guides or your masters, teachers, angel, guardian angel. I am often overwhelmed with emotion when they're close, because there's such intense and immense love, unconditional love. So floods of emotion. I'm like, oh my God, my guys are next to me again. I'm connected. But that does leave the channeler somewhat drained, because she also then needs to recover and gain her energy again, because it's a it takes a lot of energy from her to have done that to help me. And some people has the abilities, I just don't.
When that was happening and you felt this instant relief, what did you feel in your body? Can you describe like the moment from before to after? What were you
Yeah.
feeling?
So before, it felt like I was totally flat. Like there was no feeling, absence of feeling, absence of emotion. It feels like I wasn't really myself. I was just like almost like a shell walking around, because at that point the energy was drained. But instantly, as soon as that was lifted, I felt the energy, felt the life force coming back to me effectively. So I started energetically feeling, because I'm also a Reiki, or working towards a Reiki Master. I started feeling energy surging through again. I started feeling almost like the chi, if you will, flooding through my meridian lines. So it just feels like I've just been kind of, in an ambulance when you've just been zapped. That's what it feels like. I just been zapped with energy because this thing has been released. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's interesting, because you were saying about with your psychosynthesis that you knew in your body that something was wrong. You felt this anger, this like emotion. And we were discussing this before we hit record, weren't we, about that pit in your stomach and that feeling. How do you distinguish whether that is actually a feeling of fear, anxiety, or whether it's like genuine intuitive guidance?
That's a really good question. So this is the only way I know how to describe it, right? There's so when I feel that pit in the stomach and I know that is intuition, there's no doubt, there's no question, there's nothing, there's not any residues of reservation at all. It's an inner knowing. I think you had people saying inner knowing. I know this, like I know now today, Friday, without conviction. There's no, you can't even argue with me. It's Friday. It's Friday. That's a kind of knowing when you're having an intuition. But when you're having anxiety, again, anxiety, I think for me it's higher. It's often in between the throat and the heart chakra for me, with different people. And it's because it's a combination of not being able to express what it is that you need because you're anxious and you want to say something, but also it affects the kind of the heart chakra, which is why I think it sits here for me. With the anger, it sits just below the rib cage in a solar plexus, which is just above the stomach. And again, it's an embodied feeling, and it's often both inner, outer, and inner body. So in outer body, if I put my hands on my chest, I would feel the anxiety popping because it's really my breathing is shallow, and in my inner body, I would feel there's like almost something just sitting beneath the skin, uncomfortably just there. It's an itch that I can't scratch because it's my inner body. That's the only way I can describe it.
Interesting. And when would you say was the first time that you really connected with that? Was it when you found about the psychosynthesis module?
With the
Modality?
energy work, yeah, checking. So I would say psychosynthesis helped. But again, no disrespect to any psychosynthesis out there. I'm not a true psychosynthesis in that I'm not part of the psychosynthesis movement or the institute. I am qualified, but I come out of the establishment because there's more to. I believe there's more to discover than that. The model is a framework and a tool that I will pick and use, but there's also other models that are out there. And what I think along the way, since the master, I then discovered energy work. And I first discovered the emotion code and the body code. Again, I'm a practitioner, but I'm not using it solely to practice with that modality only. I'm a subtle energy worker. I'm a Reiki Master energy worker. I work intuitively using energy. So I don't know if that's if there was a when, if that makes sense. Again, I think I'm being guided to more holistic approach. Follow framework.
Yes, and the more I find out about all of these different modalities, and to me, I feel like they're all maps to lead us back to our inner voice, and to find out our truth. And not one modality will work for everybody. And that we're all designed differently. We have all different human designs. We have different star signs. We're not all the same. And I think it's very wise to have a very holistic approach and take what resonates with you, and what doesn't, let it go, because what might work for somebody might not work for you, and doesn't necessarily mean that that's wrong. It's like going to a physiotherapist and them having a different approach to an osteo.
Yes.
I think that it's important to not dismiss something, be open and curious to it, but also to let it go if it doesn't align. So thank you for that. I wonder, maybe looking back on your life, can you see a thread connecting all of the moments, the transformational moments that led you now to kind of what you're doing now? You say you were guided, but do you think that there was a thread there?
Oh, absolutely there was. And to be honest, I probably ignored it. So if you ignore signs, these are signs, right? Because we have teachers. If you're not familiar, we have, whether they're spirit guides, whether they're master teachers or loved ones, depending on what you believe, we all have teachers, spirits that helps us to guide us to a particular path. I was definitely guided. I ignored it early on in my career path. I did psychology when I finished my when I did my GCSE, and I didn't take the psychology path. It was always there back then, and we're talking quite a while ago. Yeah, so there's loads of threads like that, even in kind of spirituality. I was raised to meditate as a child every day. At school, there was meditation. But as a child, I remember all I want to do is play. I don't want to be sitting meditating. So I rebel. And when I did my Psychosynthesis training, we meditate in every seminar. I remember my inner child going, I don't want to do this. I want to play. So I had reactions. I was coughing, spontaneously coughing in every seminar for almost 6 months. Like, why am I coughing? Wow. Disturbing everybody else. But it was just, and even today, I realize that if I don't like to do something, and I'm kind of like being forced to, or having to, I get a bit of sore throat, and sometimes it comes up as a cough because I haven't said I don't want to do this. Going back to boundaries.
Yeah. I love that. And one of the oracles that we pulled today was boundaries. But also, just linking it back to your human design and being a manifester. Manifestors cannot be told what to do. They have to come up. They have to come up with the idea themselves. And that's when for me, I have to be invited for a situation or something. But yeah, for manifestors, yeah, that sounds about right. That you just did not, you got told to meditate, and it was like, absolutely not. It has to be my idea, and then I'll be fine.
Absolutely. And this is probably another reason why I'm not with the or a member of the Psychosynthesis Institute. I don't want to be confined to practice using only psychosynthesis model, because if you're part of any institute, whichever modality you're were graduated from, you're often confined to that modality, which is why initially I chose the integrative model. I want the variety, because how can I help my clients if I don't have all the tools?
Mm. Mm. Some people might be feeling some uncomfortable emotions such as anxiety or anger or frustration, and they might be numbing themselves maybe. Why do you think that do you think that emotional discomfort can be a doorway to the transformation?
Absolutely. I think
Mm.
it is, the emotions are a huge part of our human experiences. It's how we interpret, it's how we sense the world, and it's how we express ourselves. So emotion's a huge part of our identity. And if we disown emotion, we disown a huge part of ourselves. So, I understand the dissociation and numbness, because when there's trauma in our history, we would inevitably use dissociation, repression, suppression. We would use anger outwardly, attack, and sometimes we use anger inwardly to attack ourselves. And all of those. When we suppress our feelings and emotion, it often comes out, because emotion or energy cannot be confined, right? It's energetic, it's dynamic. It always
Mm.
seeks to just be. So if we suppress the energy, where does the energy go within our body? It manifests in different parts of our body, create discomfort. I don't know if you believe me, but energy can be so effective that it causes discomfort and then manifests into symptoms, diseases. The mind is very powerful.
Yeah.
So if we don't express, we hold on to, how much are we carrying around? What are we carrying around?
Mm.
How does that impact the body?
Mm.
It weighs us down. Whereas if we express, we welcome, acknowledge, sit with, own our stuff, we're already doing things differently. We're already expressing, and there's nothing to do with our emotion. We don't need to do anything except just be with. It's our
Mm.
emotion. We can't sit with our emotion. Who can?
Mm.
And then what happened, I think, is that as we sit with that emotion and feel it, because it's hurt, yeah, we were hurt, emotionally, energetically, spiritually. We sit with our stuff, notice it, feel it, and each time we do that, we're building resistance. No resistance, sorry, I meant resilience.
Mm.
Resilience, inner resilience specifically. And in spirituality, there's meaning to suffering. It is in the suffering that leads to an awakening.
Beautifully said. And this is actually something that's relatively new to me over the last 5 to 6 years. I read the book "The Body Keeps the Score" by Bessel van der Kolk
Brilliant book.
and Louise Hay's "Heal Your Body,"
Yes.
um, and it's scientifically proven that emotions stored emotions that are not that are repressed and that are not let out are can manifest within the body and lead to disease. And emotions should only really be within the body for 90 up to 90 seconds. And so it's really important to sit, as you said, with the emotions so that we can energetically, scientifically, we are making new cells all the time. And if we are keeping that darker, negative, lower frequency vibration energy within us, our cells are replicating with that frequency.
Yes.
However, if we are releasing that emotion and we come back to a higher vibrational state, we're actually effectively changing our genome and our DNA in an instant, magically, in seconds. So I always try and sit with my emotions. Sometimes it's challenging. I have to say it's challenging, but from my 6-year journey of therapy has really, really helped with that. And understanding the science behind it has really helped me with my spiritual awakening as well. And bridging those two together helps me be grounded. Because I think a lot of people out there will listen to that and be like, oh, that's woo-woo, or that doesn't make sense. But actually the science, spirituality is a science, I believe. And linking them together really can give us the knowledge that we need to fully believe things. I mean, I can go on tangents all day and say that's a story as well, but believe whatever story you want as long as you have your own evidence. But for me, I needed evidence. I needed scientific evidence to kind of believe that. And then as soon as I started, really feeling my emotions and feeling the difference within my body, and my skin became clear. And when I was stressed, I had patches of like rashes and
There.
yeah, it's all manifesting within the body. And as soon as you feel those emotions, release them, let them go. Your body can come back to harmony and its own rhythm. Thank you. I want to ask you if you believe that everyone has the ability to access that inner guidance and intuition, or do you think that it's something that has to be developed or remembered over time?
Okay. Everybody has abilities. Everybody has spirituality. And everybody has guides. You may not believe me. Sorry. There might be guides, there might be teachers, but it's for you to find out, because they will only reveal themselves to you if you're connected. If you develop that connection. It's a relationship in the same way as you and I got a relationship, Melissa. We all have the abilities to connect. It's about finding who's looking after you. For me, I'm connected to my master. I'm so blessed to be connected. It is through the energetic work that I'm connected, and the connection you do through a meditation, because meditation is the solution to everything, I'm afraid. And it is because when we're in a meditative state, the right brain, the creative aspect, the abstract brain is activated, it's enlarged, it becomes heightened. And what that means is we start to our consciousness is expanding. And then we're connecting to something more than ourselves. This is Jungian therapies in terms of the collective consciousness. That's what we're tapping into. We're already walking around broadcasting. You may or may not believe me in that, as in, you may have seen somebody walking around and they're broadcasting heat, right? Because it's very obvious. Anger is very visible sign that person is sitting with anger in whatever hours, I don't know, but you can feel energetically. As an empath, you'll feel them when you're walking past them, which is not a very nice feeling. So we're broadcasting stuff with our feelings, with our thoughts, with our, with what we've have. Obviously, it's our past that we're broadcasting. But then what happens sometimes is that people project as well as broadcasting. What happened in the meditative state is that we're broadcasting beyond the existence of this what we see, our reality. We're broadcasting in a different plane, so to speak. And we're talking about, and we're broadcasting to, accessing. And the connection is just literally go into meditative state and invite your psyche, your higher self, to come forward. Invite the master or teachers or, spirit guides to come forward and give you the guidance or establish a connection, and then wait. Depending on your frequency, you will get the response. So you mentioned frequency earlier, Lisa. If you meditate regularly, you would already be vibrating with higher frequency.
Mm.
And the higher the frequency means that we are easily then able to connect, because we have already at that point ascending, transformation. And meditation can help you with transcend the ego, right? That's what spirituality is about, transcending the ego. And when we transcend the ego, we go beyond this existence and this plane and connecting. Some people have said that they can, speak to their loved ones, right? Just because that person's connected. We all have people that we can connect to. It's just about developing our abilities. We all have gifts as well. On top of that it's worth discovering. Everybody is different depending on what it is and why it is that you're here.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on people saying that spiritual practices such as going on an ayahuasca retreat or taking psychedelics, what would you say, what's your thoughts on doing that as a quicker way to accessing consciousness as compared to like talking therapy?
You literally just said that, Melissa. It is a quicker way of accelerating your progress. It's I believe that is what's again, it is only my opinion, but I'm sharing it here. I believe it's that process, things like that, psychedelic and anything that's that is substance, is a spiritual bypass. Spiritual bypass. You're bypassing the process through spirituality. The journey to be spiritual, to connect, for me, is so rewarding. Don't get me wrong. I've been trying to connect to my the first time I connect to my guide, probably 18 months ago. And I can't tell you the first time I connected after just kind of like, it was only a glimpse. Don't get me wrong. It was just a connection. I didn't even get anything like names and I still don't get the full insight as in the visual. But every now and then when I'm meditating and connecting, I see more and more of my, I call them my masters and my teachers and my loved ones, which are scholars. My loved ones are people, they're entities and spirits, right? They're in scholar costume. If you can imagine those really Asian origin. They're dressed in long robes, and they have it's very disciplined, very structured, and there's probably about 30 in this scholars. Wow. And they're all all these people in these entities, they're my soul groups. I believe at some point there's, because we all have soul groups, right? Like that. So I'm blessed. But it is years and years of practice. And of course, like anything, it's a relationship. Once you have the relationship and once you've established connection, you want to keep doing that because there's overwhelming joy. Being in that state of spirituality is a state of bliss that I think you must have heard people say, right? Mm-hmm. Psychedelic, any substance gives us that jump start to that connection. So that's my own personal experience about the journeying to be connected and to, the whole experience is for me is a blessing.
Yeah, and for me, my journey of going over, it's been about 2 years now, and it's been a very turbulent rocket ship. I describe it as like a washing machine, tumble dryer, spun back around, thrown out, washed again, gone back in. But I wouldn't have it any other way, because along that journey, I've learned so much about myself, my guides. It's given me the knowledge that I need to be able to hold podcasts like this and communicate and ask the right questions to bring out the information from my guests. And it's led me to my path and my purpose, and truly believe that it's all divine and happening as it should. And so it's been a very beautiful unfolding of that. And I agree with you. It's a very a lovely journey. Like, I've not done ayahuasca. It is calling me, but I don't feel the need to do it. I feel like I'm unraveling a lot without the need to do that. But I have heard some incredible stories of people who have gone on ayahuasca retreats, and some of the things that
I
the
have
profound,
to.
experiences that they have experienced. And so I just wondered what your thoughts were on that, on whether or not,
But you can get there on your own. The
that,
journey I meant.
so I have tried mushrooms before, and I went, the feeling that I felt with that, I felt during my meditations. And I was like, I don't really see the need to do that. And I just felt sick. I was like, I just want to eat food.
Yes. So
So some
my
symptoms with it.
absolutely, my reservations is the same as yours. There must be some side effects. I'm taking something here. There must be and would be side effects, and I don't like taking anything that has a side effects. And I don't do shortcut either. I'm afraid I'm one of these people that's actually, I'm going to do it the hard way, so I can. Then you just have all the challenges. Then
You've learned every lesson.
I've learned everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you, Pat. I always ask my guests these last final questions. And the first one is, what's one piece of advice that you'd give someone who's lost and trying to find their purpose?
I would say stay lost. Stay in it. Lost. Okay. What comes to mind is me walking into the forest. I don't know which way to go, and this forest is vast, and there's no path, and there's no direction. Sometimes there's a bit of light, and sometimes there's just looming trees and dark, right? That's for me lost visually. It's where I just went. So for me, I'll just keep walking, and intuitively, I will trust that at some point along the way, there'll be signs, and I'll be guided. And if I don't listen to it, I just get lost again. If I ignore it, if my mind, because my mind would say, no, but don't go with there, it's too scary, you can stay in fear, or you can trust and go there anyway. Because even if you're guided and you don't listen, there'll be more signs, because you won't stay lost.
Beautiful.
That's my advice. I'm not sure that helps.
Beautiful. I think what I got from that was keep going, keep walking, keep showing up, keep finding, keep exploring, and trusting.
Keep searching. All of it.
Yeah. I love that. I love the visualization. You're very, very visual, aren't you?
Really? I'll take it.
It seems
No,
like it. Like, you see your
help.
guides, and you see
Okay.
that,
But that's what comes up for me when you ask what's
Yeah.
lost, the
I
forest and
love that.
trees. So
Where can people find out more about you and the offerings that you're doing right now?
okay, so I'm online. Google Pat Dwelling. My company name is patchorytherapy.com. Google that. I'm visible online. I work online mostly because I love the exposure that it gives me worldwide. I have clients worldwide. And I'm on a spectrum, being highly sensitive. I've noticed recently for the past 5 years since I've been identified as highly sensitive, most of my clients are neurodivergent, which is very surprising to me. I also have recently been qualified as a trauma-informed therapist. So I've been working with trauma for ages, but I'm actually really probably got a certification now. So yeah, find me online. And I work face-to-face mostly, but so online mostly, but I do face-to-face locally in Marlow, Buckinghamshire. I love working with groups, so I'm a facilitator. So I run online groups, and I'm just about to start a face-to-face group with as well. I'm also a supervisor, well, training anyway. So yeah,
Amazing. So if you want to work one-to-one or do some group sessions with Patch, please find her on Google and visit patchoulitherapy.com, which will be in the show notes in the description below. So please click on that. Now, my final question for you, Patch, is what's one takeaway that you want the listener to leave with today?
Keep walking, keep searching, keep finding your path, your journey, your purpose, meanings, and value. Do it using the spiritual ways, though.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your voice and your
Okay.
wisdom. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you today and find out about all these exciting new things I've not heard about before.
Ditto.
Yeah, I love it. It's been really, really heartwarming. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you out there. Thank you for listening. I really hope that this helps you to shine bright. If you've enjoyed this episode, the best way to show your support is to like this video and share it with somebody who you might feel that needs to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that button and comment below with your thoughts on this episode and share your voice. It's free and I love reading and replying to all your comments. So I'm sending so much love. Until next time, see you in the next episode.